and 96.1 LPKEXU. Woo! Woo! We're here now. This is our community newsroom. This is how we kind of induct people into the magic which is pour, and this is how and this is the bubbling cauldron from which we draw all of our incredible bleeding edge social justice media. Right on.
So this is Community Newsroom, which is our orientation, as my sister Lori said, and it's the first touch to all of the work that we do. It's also where we decide what the media is that's going to go out on our channels, or what the work is that we're going to be doing. And so the editorial board is all of us. You're looking at it. So even if it's your first time here, we do ask that folks introduce themselves and do what we call the bio news. So if you're all newsmakers, basically one line about your position of struggle or privilege, where you are, where you're from, and you have to do it in 60 seconds or less. Again, that's just so that we can begin our walk in truth, to unhinge media from being about us without us. Oftentimes, as poor people, as disabled folks, as folks who've dealt with homelessness and crisis and displacement, our stories are told about us without us, and we're criminalized through the media channels, or separated, or colonized, as we talked about last night in a workshop called Decolonizing the Media. So this is definitely a space that's a decolonial space. Helmfulness is a landless people's land liberation movement, and we are here to walk in liberation in all ways, including our school, Decolonize Academy, People School for Adults, and all of the different media we do. So that said, maybe we'll just go that way back to Lori to introduce ourselves through the bio news.
Okay. My name is Lori. I don't have a rhyme. I'm kind of sleepy because it's just time for me to take a real long nap. But my bed is back in San Francisco. Okay, that's all I got.
I'm D. Allen. I am the neighbor to this whole setup. I've been part of Poor Magazine since 2006. Lived here at Homefulness since 2015. It'll be the 3rd anniversary next month. And far as a rhyme is concerned, I have nothing right now. I noticed that there's one person missing from our crew, our little editorial staff who's usually here. A Salvadorian blonde woman by the name of Laura Guzman, who I first met at the Mission Neighborhood Resource Center in San Francisco on Cap and 17th, like exactly 15 years ago this month. So if you're out there and you're watching and listening to this, Laura, happy anniversary.
She'll be here.
Ha ha ha! I'm the Black Cripple. Look at me, hear this. Hey, so Leroy Moore has been at Poor Magazine since I was 2 years old. Been at Poor Magazine since the early 90s. Hey, started the first and only online column around poor people and people with disabilities, disabled people of color, Started a lot of things before. Used to have my own nonprofit for people of color with disabilities in the 90s. And started what's called Crip Hop Nation with a K. It's about disabled musicians from around the world. And started here at Core Magazine and on KPFA, and now we have small chapters in Africa, UK, Brazil, Spain, Canada, and yeah, I'm glad to be here. Peace.
I'm Bilal Ali, aka Biz Molotov, aka the Voodoo Child. I am a human rights advocate, organizer with the Coalition on Homelessness in San Francisco. I will be focusing more of my work now at the first year in the East Bay around building revolutionary nationalist political power in the East Bay. Do I have a rhyme tonight? I don't know.
I'm waiting.
I have a poem. I have a poem, and it's a short poem, and it goes like this: Free.
Alrighty. Great poem. My name is Ernest Frome, the teacher, one of the teachers at Frome's Martial Arts, and I'm here because Tiny invited me, and I'm interested. I want to know what's going on. I want to be a part. I have no rhyme.
Our Tiny.
Master Frome.
You have to hold it.
My name is D. This is me. I'm usually behind the camera, but I figured I'd check in. I've been part of this thing since 2000. Do I have a rhyme? No. But D from Berkeley, just remember me. I'm passing it to Moot. Moot, you gotta do your introduction. I think you're last.
No, Tiny.
He was having me be the final, but I'll do it right now. I am a poverty scholar, that houseless mama, that houseless daughter. I am a poverty scholar. All the people you don't want to see, never want to be, look away from me. What you gonna do, arrest me? We're in your city. I am a poverty scholar, and I usually rock my jailhouse attire because me and my po mama did the poverty crime of being houseless on the streets in this holler, LA, Oakland, Frisco. I am a poverty scholar, the melanin challenged daughter of a strong Afro-Boricua mama, for without whom there would be no me, a mama soltera and a welfare queen, small W, capital Q. I do want to say that I'm feeling my mom's vibrations right now. There's a lot of deep struggle with our folks on the streets going on, and specifically around the removal and displacement of rooted indigenous and poor communities and communities of color right here in Weechee, Ohlone Land, Oakland. And that's the work that she and I did for a minute. Also, I know that she's really happy that Master Frome is here. And I'm like all giddy and nervous because like I'm a fan. And like he's in the room and it's kind of like throwing me off, I'm just going to say. But anyway, also that today we normally do a gentrification report on PNN-KEXU, and so tonight's focus is going to be on that in honor of some of the things that are happening right here, and again with the blessing of Master Frome being in the room and all of us. But also this week's gentrification report, just for listeners and viewers, is we do street advocacy all the time, and I just got not one, not two, not three, but 5 families, once again, calling me yesterday and today in desperate straits with illegal eviction notices. So we are definitely officially in a crisis, and that is why tonight's newsroom topic is going to be focused on that. And we are definitely not going to sit for this. We do something we call poor people-led research, or we search, and we have some really important facts and a move that we're going to make. Anyway, so that's all I'm going to say. Love you all out there in YouTube Blondia, PNN-KEXU, my brother Moot.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I go by the name of Muteo Silencio. Blessed to be here. Just one of the folks, here from Port Magazine. And little bio, I always want to start by saying I'm a migrant from Michoacan, Mexico. My family migrated when I was about 6. And again, like a lot of people from down south, it's for the lack of jobs, for the lack of economy, but also for, the oppression that actually the U.S., does with NAFTA and different agreements, in the down south that people have to migrate. I also always want to recognize the people that come from the Purépecha people, which is the native people of Michoacan, even before the Spanish got there in Cali, Mexico, or it's called Mexico. So again, just happy to be here too. Always, I want to say that maybe we're not rich in capital, but we're rich in culture, we're rich in resistance. And I think each of us, in the work that we do, in the different work that we do in the community, is a living a testament of the work that we're trying to do for our people, for our folks, for our communities, the little by little disappearing. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. We are here to stay, and we don't not go away. Where am I? Oh, I'm just passing the mic around.
Just intro.
Right on time.
Greetings out there, Audrey Candy Corn, also known as Sister Save a Soul. Want to welcome you. KEXU 96.1, that part.
All right. Okay, so again, this is Newzroom, and we talk about the things and the movements that we're going to do. We're dedicating tonight's Newzroom to, this removal and this displacement, the crisis that's on our head right here in Huichin, Lashan, Ohlone land, Deep East Oakland. And so I want to, first of all, just start by asking in the room, are there other fresh news and stories that people want to speak on side of our topic? You got anything, Leroy or Bilal? No? Oh. You got something? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the focus of tonight first, and then we're going to talk about the move that we're going to make. Because as people know, all of our listeners and viewers out there in a circle, we don't just talk, we walk all the time. We always actually put our work into implementation. And when there's a crisis, there are things that we as liberated people can do. Sometimes us folks feel powerless to the large corporations and the real estate snakes and the developers and all of these politricksters who continue to buy and sell Mother Earth and our bodies, right? But we don't have to be, and they want us to feel that way, right? And so a lot of it is really beginning with us recognizing our power, right? And that our moves and our actions can actually lead to implementation and manifestation. And if anybody needs proof of that, check out what we're doing right here on Homefulness. No, right? No philanthropists, right? No government pimps, no philanthropists, none of that supported that. That's the houses the poor people built. And we are very incrementally doing it, and we teach folks with race and class privilege about redistribution of stolen and hoarded wealth with love, because we all struggling with that sickness, of wealth hoarding. I mean, not all of us, but a lot of people, right? And so we need to share the medicine as a healing, and that's what we do in People School, and that's how we've been able to even get this far. So this is just the beginning, but it is possible to implement self-determined liberation. So that's it. Enough talking from me right now. I'm going to put you on the spot, Master Fromm, if I could. If you could give a little... if you could give a little background on the history of the where you were, what happened there, and what's happening now. And not in any way to make it be all about you, because it's not, right? But just so that folks in the room can get a sense, and then after you speak, I'm going to be telling some of the stories of other folks dealing with that right now. And perfectly timed, Omawale, Manna from Heaven is in the house. Okay, and there's food, hon.
Okay.
Reintroduce yourself too.
Ernest Frome, Frome's Martial Arts. We've been open in March will be 18 years. We were at a location on Foothill and Seminary, and there's cameras all over. And someone came in and announced to me that they had bought the building, and they were the new owners, and they were moving the rent up, and it was quite a bit. When I asked the gentleman, what about the children? He says, well, do you think I bought this not to make money? And so, yeah, so I proceeded to text my 30-day notice. I was able to find a spot up the street, not too far, for not too much more money, and secured it. Stayed in there for 28 days, painting, building, and we're open now. And we're hoping not to face that same thing that's going on right now. Yeah, it's going on right now. The building is for sale now. I've attempted to buy it. I was turned down for not having enough capital in the beginning, but the money that I was told to come up with 10% of $1 million. I came up with 10% of $1 million, and I was told we need 30%. So I was given a week to come up with $200,000 more, and wasn't able. So the next day it was put on the market, and so now the building is on the market. But I'm not worried. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
All right.
So you're saying Master from Seafood?
Seafood Bill Owens is here.
Pastor.
You gotta take the mic. You gotta take the mic.
Ernest Frome.
You guys gotta take the mic if you talk.
So any questions any questions for Master From? Yeah.
Master From.
Yes, sir.
Have you?
No, because we still have a lease. So we signed a 5-year lease, and so we have 3 years left on the lease. But I'm one of those guys. I got to hit the ground running, and I want to own. I want to own the building, because wherever we go, it's martial arts is important to the community, but it's important to us martial artists, and we just have to have a home. And so, I'm not worried. The school is doing great work. I'm doing the work I can, but the school itself is doing great work. So we will have a home. We have a home for 3 more years.
Okay. You have a question, babe? Okay.
Seems like you faced this 2 times, and so was the first time dealing with a private person wanting to take your building, and I'm curious to know, the second time, was it a private person or is this a company?
Okay. The first time was a gentleman and his wife. As far as I know, they came in, they bought the building, the one on Foothill, and then this person. So it's not a company, to answer that question. It's not a company that I know of. Okay. They're only sending, the individuals. Okay. And where we are now, the lady that owns the building, it's her mom. She says it's her mom that owns it, and so. Yeah, it's not a private company, it's individuals. And so they're just making decisions. It's like they want to make as much money as possible, which I totally understand. I get it. While at the same time, what happens to the community? What happens to these children? It's 125 to 130 students that I have now, and it just never seems as though that's the important part. It's not a seems. It's never the important part. The important part is the money. I see hands.
Yeah. Oh. So first there was Moot or Omawale? Omawale, then Moot, then Lori, then Dee.
Hi, I'm Sister Omawale. I was wondering if you have any legal counsel at all, any contacts with East Bay Community Law Center. You need to, and I will give you some numbers at the end of this session, because they deal with evictions and they deal with this kind of stuff for people who are in residences They also deal with this for businesses, and they have a battery of lawyers associated with Berkeley Law School, better known as Bolt Hall. Oh yeah. Oh yes. There are other help agencies. You're in Oakland, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what your council person's name is?
Desley Brooks. She's
Okay.
been a great help, actually.
Okay, that's good. That's good, because through her office, there are a number of other things that can be done. And then the other person I wanted you to contact was Supervisor Keith Carson, because they have monies from Measure A, which might help you just pay off the $200,000 and or whatever else is required for you to keep the building.
$300,000.
300. Okay.
Down.
Well, they got money. So from Measure A, and that's what it's for. Is for low income housing. Although yours is a business, it has a youth kicker to it.
Okay.
A youth side, and that money also goes for young people's institutions.
Okay.
Which you have.
Thank you. May I say something?
Yeah, oh, sure.
I'm sorry, and I'll make it really quick.
No, don't even talk about it.
As he pans around. So I just wanted to be really clear. None of this is eviction. So when we left from the first place, it was because the rent was, from $1,300 to a crazy amount, just a crazy amount.
Right.
And so we left because their plan was to split it up into live workspaces. So they were already measuring to turn the school into live workspaces and made it so it wasn't affordable for me.
Right.
And then the new place that we're in now, that we've been almost 2 years now, we're not looking at eviction. We're just looking, like I said, I'm hitting the ground running. You know, I know I have 3 years, but I know that they put it on the market, and it's for a low price for where we are and the amount of space.
Okay.
So I just want to be very clear.
What you want is an injunction against any sales. Because you have a lease.
Oh yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
but they can still sell it, and then the person buys it with the lease intact. So they will take over your 3-year lease and then put you out as an eviction at the end of the 3-year lease. What you want to do is stop the sale.
Yes.
Right, but the sad part is you can't do that injunction when it's commercial.
Right, commercial is
Really?
totally different.
Oh yeah. It's welcome to the violence of capitalism. I'm sorry.
Oh, brother.
You cannot. So that's why we're having this particular meeting today, because we got
So that's
a
just
different
for
plan,
residences,
and
right?
we got
Yes.
a different move we're gonna do. But thank you for that. Who wanted to go next? Moot,
Well,
and
just,
then Dee.
and another teacher we have been in the community for a couple of years, you know, and also we had a day where we were talking about gentrification happening in this corridor, and you know, as we speak, right in front of the old space that you have, there's a new Walgreens, and there's a lot of money coming in that community. And again, and also like you know, the kids in Tiny's class are doing the whole research on the BRT, which is the what is it, the
I'm gonna
bus
talk
rapid.
about that. The bus rapid tramp. Yeah.
But again, you know, so I was telling folks too that even this jail, you know, wasn't here about maybe 10 years ago, and again, so I think even for some of us, you know, the term of gentrification, how is it that it becomes alive and it becomes like here it is, you know, and how much do you see that you no longer fit in what they want in that community, and now, you know, they want to make it to like a little San Francisco and have the expensive. But yeah, but what do you see about that? And again, sometimes it feels like with gentrification is that they want the studio there, but they don't want folks of color running it. They want to bring their own folks. The same thing that happened in Mission. You know, they took in some places they got rid of the restaurants and they brought their own restaurants. And a lot of people, you know, we even cater to that because we said, well, we'll make a little money while we at it, not knowing that at the end of the day they also don't want us. They want to bring their own things. And
Do you have a response to that or no?
Well,
You don't have to, but
well, you know, what I can say is when we met with Desley Brooks, she has her meetings on second Tuesdays of the month, and I remember her saying that black owned is only black owned if you own the building, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. Cause it's like, but I own my business, and she says, yes, you do. I own my business and then my fictitious business license, but I don't own the business if I don't own the building. And so that's been hitting me pretty hard, and I have a responsibility, you know, to my students, to the parents, you know, to the community, you know, and responsibility being the ability to respond appropriately. I'm not in panic mode, but I am. It's urgent that this gets done. I have to have a home for our martial arts.
And I just want to insert myself, if you could. Because Master Fromm is extremely humble, and some of you all in this room know. So we run a liberation school, Poor Mama, Poor Uncle led, called Decolonize Academy. And we have children who come to us, all of our children, myself included. My child was homeless with me. And all of our children come out of poverty or struggle and trauma. Our children go to Master Fromm's studio and get healed. The studio is so much medicine. And there couldn't be a Decolonized Academy without Master Fromm's. And then I want to give it up because Master Fromm helped us with a scholarship so our children who are in poverty can go there. That's the children that go to his studio are children from here, are black and brown children from here, from this barrio. And for that place to go anywhere is not an option. So I just want to put that out right now. I just want to put that out. Creator, ancestors, not an option. Yes. And I feel my mama tonight, and that I know that's why. In my case, Master Fromm and the studio, and Teacher Jefferson, Teacher May, and all the beautiful, you know, young men and women there healed my son when we went through a crisis that broke me apart. So I just want people to understand the severity and the violence of any hint of removal of this place. And that's why, I wouldn't be my mama's daughter. That ain't gonna happen.
May I piggyback?
Yeah, thank you.
It wouldn't be right if I didn't piggyback. My children, Amir and Zaire, are also current students of Master Fromm's establishment, or shall I say of his medicine, because it's not necessarily about the building. It is what he has to give and how he's willing to share. Really quickly, my son Torian Desir Hughes transitioned 2015 December the 20th, 5 days before Christmas, and this will be the 2-year anniversary actually this month. Today is the 5th, I believe, okay? And with that being said, Tiny says that with her being broken and being put in a position to where the medicine needs to be where the children can have access to it, and this brother happens to be that portal potty or that reference that they're able to go to him. And so I personally would like to say that Tiny's story also is my story, and that's part of the reason why I am here, because this is rare, and it's important that the children have an outlet outside of what your traditional things may be.
Thank you.
And so the children are disciplined, the children are structured, the children operate accordingly at home and outside of the home. It's a village, it's more like a family, which is a village. We are not a community, and I wouldn't feel right if I didn't say that. I've never said that. This is his first time hearing me say that, and so you need to know that what Tiny just said is so much true. It's not a personal story for her. It is a village story, because this is how we operate and share amongst one another.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And then Leroy and now Lori, did you have something to say?
Yeah.
Okay, so Lori, after D.
2 comments.
After D.
2 comments for Master Fromm. If what Desley Brooks says is true, then perhaps you should hit the ground running and decide to make moves to own this entire building. Raise the capital if you need to. Hit up anybody who you know who owes you any favors or whatever. And number 2 is not to not to diverge away from the point of discussion here, but having you move your studio from Foothill to Seminary across from Mills College was, in my humble opinion, a stroke of genius. Because there's a lot of female students at that school that might need a place where they can go and learn how to defend themselves against potential sexual predators and such. You could be serving them as well as inner city non-white children.
Thank you. I have just a brief question. It's regarding the the story that you just told about talking to the people beforehand and then having them tell you, oh well, just 10%. Yeah. Do you feel like they were? Do you feel like they were in good faith? Or do you feel like they maybe just didn't expect you to be able to get 10% of $1 million?
Handing the mic.
Yes.
Honestly, I never know what's in another human's mind. I'm just doing the best that I can out here, and when you say good faith, I think when people are going through something that is day by day, oftentimes people don't know how to deal with their own pain. They don't know how to deal with their own things, and so she reacted and did what she thought she needed to do. Could have gave me a call. We didn't have to meet about it. Could have told me I needed 30% as opposed to 10. Yeah. I was told 10. But I think people don't know how to. This that we're doing, the eye contact, it's so rare now. It's difficult for people to have peace and conflict, be able to solve problems. That's the fault of these.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. So I don't place any blame. I have my own feelings about it, but our feelings are our own. No one else has your feelings. So I do my best not to deal in feelings. So
yeah.
We're just gonna get it done.
So Leroy, and then Bilal, and then Omawali.
Thanks so much for coming out. And I know at this time a lot of nonprofits are bought off, but I was thinking, have you ever got in contact with the Black Business Bureau?
With
the Black Business Bureau?
The Black Business World?
Business Bureau.
No. Black Business Bureau. No.
And a lot of black churches, but I know they're probably bought off by now.
Leroy's giving that possible worst case scenario.
We have to clip that one out.
Okay.
So, Master Fromm, well, I'm also a paralegal. So I was thinking that you said at first they said 10%,
10%,
and then they said 30%, yes. And that was because you didn't have sufficient capital.
Well, she told me that because it's a commercial space, it has to be 30%. So yeah.
Did you ask why? Did they say 10%? Didn't they know that? That are put in for what much required. So, if Sis was talking about, you might want to talk to the attorney and say basically what is the procedure of this, what can they ask for, what can they ask for, what can they use as an excuse, because we'd like to know that. And so she's kind of like dishonest because she's denying that she told you that. So she might be dishonest in the whole process. I would try to find out, first of all, what is the procedure. I mean, they're private property, they can do what they want, but within a mechanism, legal mechanism, that's their legal mechanism. So, by law, I would want to know, by law, these type of transactions, how much is required, if 30% is really actually required, and if it is required, if that's on the up and up, have other people gotten around that? Have they allowed to make make a deal, come to an agreement, and at 20, 30 of these people came up, they'd have the 30 to get in, so why weren't you allowed to get in? Because that's that world. Sir. So you might, if you did talk to an attorney or something, say, what's the deal on this, and possibly find out, or the person that they sell the building to, you might still want to find out where they're required to put 30% down to.
That's right. Thank you so much. Okay, so Omawale, and then we're going to talk about action.
That legal advice is free, by the way. Thank you very much.
I think part of what Brother Bilal had just said feeds into what I wanted to say too, is that in California, when you buy a building, you also buy the land underneath it. That's part of California real estate law. The second thing is, before you enter into any agreements to buy, sell, rent, or anything, you're supposed to have someone on your side who represents you, who is a real estate broker or a real estate salesperson who has your interest in mind, and then the other people, if they are selling as owners or if they're selling as property management people, they have their own real estate person representing them. And the two real estate persons are equivalent to two lawyers. And you have to allow them to help you set up what's going on. And the person who told you 10% first and then verbally retracted that actually made a breach of contract, a breach of verbal contract, and had you had somebody who knew, you could have sued them. In fact, you may still be able to sue them if there has not been what do you call it, an end of the cycle for that lawsuit, because that's a lie. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you is that part of what the Republic of New Africa used to do, and I don't know how many of you remember Brother Omari Obadele. Yes. That's right.
Mother Ali Moore.
Hey, Brother Bilal knows all the people.
Richard Williams, first president.
Yes, exactly. The whole issue of the Republic of New Africa was the acquisition of land and being able to control that land, and recognizing that the Native Americans owned the land to begin with, and what got RNA in difficulty was someone who, outside RNA's orientation, didn't understand that in the process of obtaining land, they were trying to buy land off the Gulf of Mexico, so that they would have a waterway as well as a land base, and then they were going to do the same thing in that area that the settlers from Europe did to the Native Americans, which was take the land, throw up a fence, say you can't come in here without a passport, and you declare your own country. And this is the same thing that the Spanish had done with Florida. Florida was a different country. It was not a state in the United States. It was not a colony of the Union. It belonged to the Spanish, because the Spanish territories went from Spain to Cuba, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, because they had that whole section in there. So if you understand the history of land in terms of African and Native American people, you get a sense of how California law is established. California law was set up on the basis of Spanish land grants. Spanish land grants came from King Ferdinand. What it said was that if you hold a Spanish land grant, which most of the Native Americans and people in Mexico and so forth did, that land was yours and you couldn't take it away. the War of 1846-1848, Spanish-Mexican War, was the thing that overturned the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, and that's coming up again. And in fact, tonight it was on KPFA. They were talking about Reyes Lopez Tijerina reactivating that entire struggle and making possible a war against the governor of New Mexico, because they had the state of New Mexico had taken over a park that people had land grants in their hands for, issued from Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo and from King Ferdinand. So actually, state of New Mexico, of course, stole the land and built a regional park on that land. The same problem that you're having right now has to do with inappropriate statements in a legal context, but you have got to have somebody on your side from either the black business community who's not going to gouge you, but somebody who's conscious, or somebody who actually knows how to deal with real estate. There are black real estate organizations in not only the state of California, but all over the United States. They're called Black Realtists. They have an entire organization, and my mother used to belong to that group. There is an entire series of folks involved in environmental justice, real estate justice, economic justice, and banking. And all we have to do is look around and find them. So that's why when Brother asked you about, have you contacted the black business community, this is a very key piece. You can't just be out there by yourself.
Right.
Also, there is a group of black yoga instructors in the state of California who are organized. My question to you is there a group of black martial arts instructors who are organized?
It's beginning now.
Okay. If it's going to begin now, then they got to go through the same process you're going through. They need to have lawyers, financial people, and real estate people. Because what's going to happen is the way that we are learning why gentrification is taking us out is that we didn't understand when the Black Panthers said nation building, they meant buy land. That's what they meant, buy land. And Garvey said that, and Reyes Lopez Tijerina has said that. And I mean, I can just go on and on and on for the people who have said that. I can just go on and on for the number of people who have said that historically in every revolutionary movement of people who are being victimized by folks who want to take the land.
Free the land. Yes.
So,
thank you.
not just free the land, hold the land.
Yes.
Hold the land.
Hold the land.
Right on, sister.
Okay, so that gets us to the action implementation part. So first of all, I do want to say again, because it's big words and big ideas, and sometimes it almost seems too big to be true. I didn't say too good to be true, too big to be true. We are standing humbly on what we call First Nations Wichin Lishan Ohlone land because we asked permission of First Peoples before we started homefulness. We're also sitting on Black Arthur. We don't call it by the colonizer's name because for everybody from the neighborhood knows that this is a long time black community and that in fact there's a history and a history of rooted communities living here, right? That's why even I think I dare to say that Master Farms, that the students, right, that they were serving the community, right? And so many more, you know, shout outs to all the businesses on this street, to the 10 thriving yet small black owned and brown owned businesses that were burned out of 73rd and Black Arthur. And that brings me to where I'm at. So before I go there, though, I just want to make sure that listeners and viewers in this room understands that we are on this small little piece of Mother Earth, not falling in and becoming the settler colonizer lie of buying and selling Mother Earth, but we are understanding that those are the people that stole Mother Earth from the First Peoples, and so to infiltrate and secure the indigenous rooted black and brown communities that were always here, we do have to walk in that system, right? And live by those laws and you know, and step and fetch to those requirements. So we bought, after a very long process, this small piece of Mother Earth. Now, we're all poor people, disabled, gentrified, myself being houseless. None of us had no trust fund. None of us had friends that had money. Actually, to be really real with you, we had no people with money. What we did have was our stories, our poetry, our art, and we're poverty scholars. And we developed a school called People School, where we teach through our lived knowledge, and we say that homefulness was built with a story. And it's not built yet, but it's the beginning, and it's a lot of it is happening. This media classroom that also serves as the English journalist department for the Decolonized Academy, the People School, was built through us teaching folks with race and class privilege and trust funds and stolen and hoarded wealth, because I do call it that. The reason that people get gads and gads of money, or what I call bloodstained dollars, that then we can sage and put medicine on and make into good things, is because they come from a trail, if you will, of tears, a trail of exploitation, and or different forms of class and race privilege. So we teach on that, and we have a curriculum, and we worked a long time on it. And we were able to create something called the Solidarity Family, which are those conscious young white folks who actually, like the Comité Apoyo in the Zapatistas, actually supported a landless people's movement right here to happen. And that landless people's movement is called homefulness. And what we're doing is, from the beginning, we said when we came here, even though all of us are from Oakland and the Bay, but we came to this particular small space. I think my mom had that in mind, because when we were houseless, we used to park right out in front. And that was the one place the cops never were called on us. So I know my mom from the other side, Ivaye, was working on this particular process, and we got the check to actually purchase this small piece of Mother Earth on her birthday. So I understand, Ma, you had everything to do with it. I even questioning that. But it's also a lot of work and blood and sweat and tears from all of us. Anyway, all that to say, when we came here, we said we were going to launch a de-gentrification zone to work to make sure that homefulness is just a template, and that we need to make sure that this community stays here. So last year we launched, or not even last year, about 8 months ago, we launched the Bank of Community Reparations to expand out this concept of redistribution, to make sure that other folks right around here facing eviction, other folks like Manna from Heaven, like Segorite Land Trust, who are our sisters from First Nations, Ohlone Lashawn, like Master Fromm's, can actually stay here. So far, we were able to raise, I think, about $900 each. And so we already gave a check to Master Fromm, right? We're giving a check to Manna from Heaven today, Omawale. We gave a check to Segorite. This isn't my money or Leroy's money or Motiado's money. This is redistributed community reparations. Punto final. People need to understand that. Yes, I did say reparations, that we taught folks they needed to redistribute so that Fromm's Martial Art, Manna from Heaven, Homefulness, and Segorite Land Trust, and the family down the street would not be evicted. Period. Now, that said, our youth last year did a beautiful what they call the Black Arthur Displacement Report. I'm going to pass that along so everybody in the audience can see. And I'm going to hold one up for the camera. Yeah, you can all. I just need to get them back because we don't have enough, but check them out now. So, the Black Arthur Displacement Research Report, because we don't call it research unless we're searching out rich people. But, and I spell it R-I and S-E-A-R-C-H. Yes, I do. But anyway, the We Search is poor people-led research. So our youth and our adults actually went to all the displaced businesses, to Kingdom Builders, the church down the street, that lost their thrift store, to the paychecking place, to the tattoo shop, to the nail shop, all of those, and we talked to them. And it was pretty clear after a lot of investigation, and then we went into the Politrickster's office, the city of Oakland. We did FOIAs, which are called Freedom of Information Act requests. We went into the tax assessor's office, and it was our deduction at the end of it that these fires were set.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
don't you know?
Yes.
Now, it doesn't surprise any of us that you notice that there's an empty lot still there.
Yeah.
That, right? That the other empty lot that's right over there, that the BLI, the Black Land Liberation, moved into for a couple days, and thank you for that, is owned by the same developer, that's what I call him, who actually bought up big swaths of Black Arthur. Same guy.
Really?
Yeah. Now, they put themselves under different names, and that's what our children found out, under these LLCs. LLCs is just some colonizer mess that basically hides some gangsterism, right, that these folks get away with.
Fictitious business.
Thank you. Right. Right.
Shop somewhere else.
Right.
Same people.
Limited
but
Thank
different
you. Thank you. Now, if we did that, they'd call us criminals. Let's be real about who the real criminals are, right? Fraud.
That's
Thank
what
you.
it's fraud.
Thank you.
That's what it's called.
Thank you. So they got legalized fraud happening in broad daylight. We also researched and we searched the building that y'all were in. So I don't know if you remember, all the children went in and interviewed you.
Yeah.
Right? So then we went down to the tax assessor's office.
Uh-huh.
Lo and behold, that dude who bought your spot registered under fraudulent names and bought 6 other spots.
Limited Liability Corporation.
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And so like you said, it made my heart break up in the beginning when you actually told him something logical like these are children here, and he responded, what again?
You think I didn't buy this to make money?
Exactly. It was never his intention to keep any of us here, which, to be real, is none of these folks' intention. So I'm not trying to soft soap it, and people might call me paranoid, but I've been through this too long. So I don't have a lot of energy to move with a lot of right. I'm just really clear that I don't care about the perpetrators and your continued perpetration, but you're not going to kick out of Oakland. Right. So this is the deal. Our children did this beautiful research on Black Arthur and found out this horrible information and this gangsterism and this fraudulent behavior and the fact that those businesses were torched, and now that lot stands empty so that they can build a Starbucks and a you know what else, a Pete's and condos and whatever else they wanted when they wanted, right? Now we have this different situation. Our youth and adults uncovered the newest threat. It's called the BRT. The Bus Rapid Transit. Zaire, can you come out here, hon? Come on out as a resident youth scholar, because this is some hard work they're doing. Can you just tell a little bit, okay, about the BRT, what it is?
The BRT is Bus Rapid Transit, and they are supported by AC Transit. The ones that support them the most is Oakland. And when we went to the city council, we found out the information, and we did our FOIA, and we asked the Oakland City Council mayor person to give this to the mayor, because the mayor wasn't there for some reason, because they made an excuse. So we gave him our FOIA, and they said there was no documents when the the supporters are Oakland. The main ones are Oakland.
Oh, shit. Can I give a big round of applause? Thank you, Zaire. Thank you. I just want to say, that's our youth scholar. That's our future right there. Do we need to worry? We need to worry. Hold on one sec. So let me just finish this, and then you need to tell us about this, hon. So, as you heard from Youth Scholar Zaire, they pulled a lot of, you know what, a lot of BS, a lot of politicking, right, down at the Politricksters Central, right? And our young people found out with a FOIA, they learned, our young people, 9 and, 10 years old, learned how to do a Freedom of Information Act request, because that's how we teach at Decolonize Academy. We teach what's going to heal our communities and what's going to heal them and their families so that we can continue in this resistance, right? But anyway, so they clearly found out that this BRT, which is a multinational, what I call transportation gentrification project, that is claiming that it has no money from any local agencies, is actually all paid for by the city of Oakland, by these existent transportation programs, and it's 100% funded. And we're talking about $1 billion project. 100%. And what it's doing is cutting a swath, all the way down International Boulevard.
Yes. Like
right?
the train, like in San Francisco, like how, what do they call it, the T-line or something? The T-line.
Exactly. And what did that do to the Bayview? Exactly. That's the way they got basically the majority black and brown community disrupted and destroyed in the Bayview.
So it's another plan.
Exactly. Same thing. Right. And so what they're doing, if you don't already know, is they're keeping it quiet as kept. And so, right. So what we're proposing is we're proposing to do a research release of the work that we're going to do on this new one. So this is the past one, a research study release that's going to prove that they've funded this thing up the yin yang. They've gotten all this multinational money to kick out Oakland because they're not trying to have Oakland for Oakland. And so we're going to say, well, if you're doing that, you need to support community reparations to keep Master Fromm's here, to keep Manna from Heaven here, to keep Auntie Frances here, who's also getting evicted as we speak, our Sister Frances, to keep Segurite Land Trust, to keep the black and brown community here. And we wanted to ask you, Master Fromm, if you're willing to be part of that. We'd have to figure out a day. Karina Gold is down. Other community, ACE. The other scary part of this, guys, is that a lot of the non-profiteers, excuse my French, on the real though, they've taken the dime. So it's a small island of us who we're not bought and paid for.
So when you say taking
Allen Temple, Ibalsi. Yeah.
Even the children, they've even gotten the young adults, they've even paid them off. They got the children singing and dancing and acting, making commercials to kind of slightly let you know what's going on, but it's still on the under, but they have to, by law, some type of way kind of say that they put it out there, like, oh, you didn't know? So that was quite interesting.
Yeah. And I can't say I totally blame nonprofits are, always struggling for cash. Someone comes around with some cash. Let's be real. I'm not even hating. I get it. I get that struggle. The problem is that means that we have kind of an island.
You wanted to speak?
Yeah, I understand. Actually, I understand. It was supposed to be up and running this year. So was that behind community pressure that kind of slowed it down, or just?
No, not at all. No,
okay. And the other thing is too. So you're mentioning that some of the non-profiteers have accepted the money, and this is generally what happens. What they do is they go in and they get people and they give them money, and what this serves as is a way to divide the community. It's a way to pit one side of the community against the other side. Divide and conquer. That's what they always do at first. That is the way to divide it. I've been doing anti-development and anti-gentrification work for a long time. The other thing is that shame on those non-profiteers is doing that too, because one, they come and get them and they make them the gatekeepers. They're the gatekeepers, and they're supposed to represent everybody in the community, and they didn't do any outreach and go and survey and poll the community and say, do you want this to happen? And if it does happen, what does the community want? How does the community want to be benefited? None of these nonprofits have done that. They may have done it with their membership, but that's not the whole community. So right there, it leaves the whole part of the community out, and so shame on them for that. And then we're gonna have to start correcting that. We're gonna start correcting that, and see, just putting them to it. How does the community? Do you have that community interest at heart? If you do, it's not just one part of the community. I get this all the time from city officials. I just got it recently from one of the police commissioners. We were talking about the taser. Well, I talked to black people, and they said they want the tasers. And I had to remind him, don't pull it anyway, but those black people you talk to don't represent all black people. I'm black, and I don't want that shit. You didn't come talk to me. Matter of fact, I'll take you up to the Bayview at Hunters Point with you and me, and you ask them black people, do they want tasers? Okay. So I'm just saying, yeah. So that's what we talk about, self-determination. We say free the land, we want self-determination. That the whole community has to be involved in that process. You have to talk to everybody in that community. Most people, we have our people facilitate that. And not just these few people, because they're the gatekeepers. They don't represent all of us, That's what I'm saying. So, shame on them.
Okay.
Anyway.
Laura has a comment, Leroy has a comment, and I know Omawale has something you should talk about.
Well, as I'm hearing, we're talking about Black Arthur, I was just thinking about what we went through in the mission, and I think for those of us who know, to be aware how rapidly this is.
Yeah.
We are at a stage, I call it, of tsunami gentrification that is moving from San Francisco, Silicon Valley, at a rate that in Black Arthur or MacArthur area, and East Oakland in particular, I think what we're going to see, like we saw in San Francisco, is conversion from industrial to condo. And that's when you start seeing blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks. We were just recently, for the first time in many years, in the dog patch, and I couldn't believe what the waterfront has become in San Francisco next to Bayview. And I just heard 16,000 units are opening over there of luxury. So what we need to do is to act fast. Also, I was thinking, Master Fong?
Ernest Fromm, yeah.
Fromm is that some of the strategies that we did for the few businesses that we preserved in the mission, Latino-owned, was to really push, and I think your suggestion to talk to supervisors will be important to start really, whatever we know that people can right now, we can force them to put money to buy the land, we should do it in the business. Preservation of production, distribution of repair, maybe just, search how many of this business will qualify under PDR. We lost almost 90% of all the production, distribution and repair in the mission, which became condos. I mean, we haven't seen it yet, but in about 2 years, we're going to see every block from DuBois to 18th, every block will have about 100 to 200 units of luxury housing in the mission. So I think we still are in a good moment to resist, to be strategic.
That's why I'm so...
Right, and to be strategic, I think Confluence decision also to start supporting all the self-determination movements that are trying to buy land, and then exponentially, expand that. Start mapping out also all the places, because I also share with Tiny that I know some of the motels on MacArthur want to be master lease for our increasing homelessness. And that's another area where I'm working in the county now. I was in San Francisco, is to start looking at the numbers. It's becoming really scary. The numbers, not just in Oakland, Hayward, Fremont, Livermore, because we also having the push from Silicon Valley. We had it from San Francisco, but now we're having it from the south, and it's pushing in the Central Valley. So we can see ourselves all gone in 10 years if we don't act. So excited about the web search and to start I think we should really do a very strong East Oakland resistance.
Exactly. Leroy, you had your count.
I just want to say that, Master Farm, if you're down with what we're doing, I just have to say it's only a lonely process. Because, like Bob was saying, all those nonprofits have been bought out. I mean, Allen Temple owns that whole block.
Yeah.
So when they pull people,
like
they pull a lot of people. So I'm just saying that this fight is gonna be a hard fight. It's gonna be a lonely fight, but yeah, I just want to warn you because when those nonprofits, come together, it just takes up blocks and neighborhoods.
And just to not scare you with that though.
Yeah.
Part of the reason is that we launched the Bank of Community Reparations is we don't want to keep relying on the same tired old solutions. So let's be real, family. We watched the mission go down. And politricksters and non-profiteers were right up in it. You already know where I'm going to go with that. A lot of them signing the checks and getting the paid checks and getting the politics behind the deals. No. So we'll keep our feet in those fights because we have to. And there are some conscious folks always that walk in those places and spaces. And they're our comrades as they need to and want to. But the reality is this wasn't built with any of that. And I'm saying we're at a different time now. We have conscious young white folks out there with ready to redistribute stolen and hoarded wealth. That's where I'm talking about. And then I'm talking about going to the jugular, when we can hopefully get a lawyer to stand with us. You're taking those kind of multinational payoffs from these corporations to build this line, this BRT line that's going to dismantle this neighborhood. You can't do that without making sure we can stay here. In other words, it's like an end run, right? It's an end run. And so call out to the lawyers, the conscious lawyers and the legal people in the room, because if we need to go into the courts, eventually we will. But I don't even think we need to do that. I think when we expose this payola, this big payola, whether it be Libby Shavs or the different council people, there's going to be needing to be a reckoning. So you mean you took that kind of money and you put out that kind of money to bring this thing that would wipe us out into our neighborhood so that we no longer are here? So just sitting within that, you know what I mean? Sitting within that narrative, praying and visioning on that narrative, to me, is a different direction. We can't keep fighting this the same way. We'll continue the fight because we have to. Just like we continue to fight for our little bit of crumbs like EBT and cash aid checks because we're poor folks and we got to keep fighting. But we also have to move a different direction that actually is going to make sure we don't get removed.
Yes.
And so, Audrey, did somebody else have a comment before Audrey? No, yeah, leave D, and then Audrey. Go ahead.
For anybody in the room who's willing to answer it, I've heard this name being brought up several times during Community Newsroom. Who or what is Allen Temple?
I got you, man.
Switch.
Oh, wait.
Turn around that part.
Like, wait a minute.
Right on point. Allen Temple is a church. It's a faith-based organization.
Yep.
And what's happening is churches are connected to the community. They were put here for the community. When things are going on, you're supposed to go to your church, right? You need your rent paid, you're supposed to go to your church. Now, they have it to where the churches, you have to be a member. And if you're not a member, you can't get any of that money for your rent to be paid. Because these things are becoming, these churches are becoming political. So what happens is, inside of the church, number one, they have these inside deals where, let's say, Franco Gawa City Plaza, the people that are up in there, make deals, contracts, whatever, verbal, whatever, with the churches that are big. Allen Temple is one. There's another one. If you want to shout it out, you can. And there's another one. There's 3 main churches that are huge in this community. So if you attack, this is a strategy. If you take the major churches and pay them off, then what happens is you create the division that Brother Bilal was talking about, divide and conquer. Because you have your leaders, your revolutionaries, your activists, your levelopers, your revolutionaries, whatever you want to call yourself, your activists, your advocators, all of these people that normally we're the ones that would have that information. If you pay us off, if you get to Audrey Candy Corn, Sister Save a Soul, and I'm over Allen Temple, 3,000 congregation or more, okay, and I tell my flock, this is what the Lord told me to do, okay? Now you have politics in the church. Oh, in my curls, you have politics in the church. So the Allen Temple is a church, and depending on how they're operating, it's an organization, and people like churches like that can be paid off. So that is who they are, and that is how they're able to get into our communities and divide us. And that's why it is important for you out there to hear what it is that we're saying. And when we say we're talking about KEXU 96.1 FM radio. We're talking about Decolonized Academy. We're talking about PNN, not CNN, Poor News Network. We're talking about homefulness. And all of our brothers and sisters out there that are connecting with us, regardless to what your color is. We talk a lot about color because we know that the color lines is something that it exists. But at the end of the day, we really here, when we say here, we're talking about at KEXU 96.1 and all of those other names that I just said. We deal with high vibrations.
Oh, Shay, Shay.
Versus those low evil vibrations. So we are going to continue to fight, but we're not going to fight the way traditionally that people have been fighting this. And so with this information that we're giving, we want you to take the opportunity to help us with this research so that we can get the final answers that we need so that we can operate differently, because they're never going to see it, and we have to be strategic.
Ashe. Beautiful. So I want to make sure that we actually have another minute to finish tonight, because we actually are supposed to end by 8:15, and I know it's late. I know Omwale has a document that she wants to talk about, and I want to, just before I pass the mic to Sister Omwale, I just want to say that we're actually putting out a direct proposal. We're saying that 2 things. This Sunday, our 8th annual Mercado de Cambio Posto is happening at the Impact Hub, which is a very big, place. We actually,
come through.
It's huge. People should come through. There's going to be a degentrification.
Starts right at 3.
3 o'clock. There's going to everybody should come through. Impact Hub, 2323 Broadway, 3 o'clock this Sunday, December 10th. But it's in the heart of the gentrification uptown. I'm sorry to be keeping on swearing in front of Master Frank. But anyway, that said, I know it's not part of the studio, so I'm going to claim that wrongness. But I do want to say there's going to be a degentrification panel, which I actually hoped Master Frank would be on, but no matter what, Sister Frances is going to be on there, Auntie Frances, myself, and Iodeli Wordslanger from West Oakland. And possibly somebody else. So what we're saying with that is that we are putting this out as a different kind of template to fight this removal. We refuse to be removed, and we're going to be press conference. We're going to release the youth scholars. We want to make sure. Well, we don't know where, and so that's what I'm saying. There's a couple things that we need to decide as a circle tonight. First of all, should it be at City Hall? Should it be right here on Black Arthur? Should it be in front of Master Fromm's or in front of Segurite Land Trust? I want to do a shout out to Planting Justice and Segurite Land Trust that is actually taking back Ohlone and LaShawn land right down on 98th. They're sistering of us, yeah. And they're doing the same thing we are, so they're going to be standing with us because they're all about this same kind of move. They're trying to take back indigenous land for healing and ceremony and housing of indigenous and poor people. And so the question is, where do we do that? So that's a decision we as a circle need to make. And the other question is, when? Should it be the first week after the new year? And then also I want to get feedback from Master Fum if you feel comfortable to be part of that. So before we pass it to you, sister, if we can hear that. And if you don't know right yet, you can say, I don't know yet.
Right.
Too.
Well, what's interesting about all this, I had a conversation with a young man today about the word ignorance. And I know I had been brought up, I remember, aunts, cousins, or whatever, and even I say, you're ignorant. And so I used to take that as a direct insult. Now for me, being the age that I am and being in the position that I am, being ignorant is actually a plus for me, because what I'm able to do is learn. And so that, because I notice everybody in there is calling me Master From, and so...
And you keep shrinking every time somebody
because you know what? For me, I really take that... so Bruce Lee, he had said that you're never a master till you're dead. So I have so much more to learn. I'm very... I feel great. My mom put me in martial arts and everything, but I'm still mastering everything that I can. But with that, the part about being ignorant, this is all new to me. Not all of it, but just like the real estate aspect of it, what you were explaining to me and everybody's talking to me about, that's what I love about this. And when I mean this, I mean life. Is because I'm able to go on this journey and be the tortoise as opposed to the hare. I'm not in a race for anything. I'm the tortoise looking around. It's like, I'm picking up that, I'm picking up that, I'm picking up that. So I'm picking up things here, and I want to have further conversations about this, because what I don't want to do is make a rash decision, because it's not just me.
Understood.
But I am, the exposure that you're giving me here it's quite eye-opening. And the things that's great. And those are kids that did that.
Right.
And I teach those kids.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
I want to have conversations. I want to know what's going on Sunday. And then I have some questions offline, of course, because I am also one of the people so I coach world champions. And one of the things about a competition or a fight is not always letting that person know across what's going on. And I feel that's why I talk about this monster, this thing.
Yes.
Because Facebook and things like that have given a lot of people a podium that they weren't supposed to have. And so a lot of what we don't want to do is be that farmer, most definitely, that puts out the seeds and then goes inside and the birds eat the seeds because the birds saw and they heard. So I definitely want to have further conversations and know exactly what the fight is. You understand what I'm saying? And so
not committing yet, but you're hearing.
I want to hear what's going on, because I am part of this community, and my family still lives in this community. I still live right up there, and so this is incredible for me, and I appreciate being invited. Thank you so much.
All right, let's have Omuwale say this, and then
I passed out 4 copies of this document. One's on the floor. He has one. Where are the other 2?
Oh, is this mine?
There's one over there.
That might be yours.
I need you to read along with me, because I want to have the youth scholars use whatever they need from this document to beef it up.
Definitely.
First of all, the Civic Action Coalition, which is my social action group, have been fighting BRT since 2009.
Oh, wow.
The information on that has always been put on the bus in the little thing behind the bus driver, and you have to try to get people to go. One of the things they did not do for the Oakland Corridor community was they did not notify folks in Spanish and Chinese or Vietnamese, whatever.
English only.
English only. Then later on, as things progressed, because they did have final environmental impact statement or final environmental impact report on this. That was April 25th, 2012. Okay, that was 5 years ago. The final EIR had to be discussed by the public by the 23rd of April in writing, or else you had to show up to the 2 sessions that they had on the 25th, 1 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and 1 at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow.
If you spoke at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you could not speak at 5,
Wow.
which happened to me.
Wow.
So, and several other people who wanted to go and speak twice.
Wow.
And normally you can speak twice.
You're
right?
supposed to
You're
be able to
supposed
do it.
So
According
this-
to the Brown Act, you're
Okay.
supposed to be able to do it.
I just wanted you to say that.
But the board said, well, for the interest of time, and we'll be here all night. Why not? It's a public hearing. You sit there until the public gets tired of talking. They had 3 minutes each person. They would allow you, of course, to cede your time to somebody else so they could finish their statement, and it went on like that. And people came organized in that from all communities everywhere. Basically what this document said, because I sent this out on email to our group, to say that it's an appeal. We either need you to write a statement on the 23rd before 5 o'clock or show up on the 25th. So we managed to get some people out. Fortunately, we got a couple of elders out and a couple of people who were disabled. So they were able to testify at the hearing. The problem is that most people couldn't read the EIR, which of course was, 200-300 pages long. And it was very much inaccurate because if you look at down at the bottom of the first page, rather than choose the much less costly and less destructive curbside level boarding prepaid alternative, see the Berkeley City Council letter of March 29th, 2011 to AC Transit. AC Transit intends to ram this dedicated lane version of BRT down the public's throat and rip up the streets from San Leandro to downtown Oakland.
Which they're
Only
doing
because,
now.
and they're doing that now, and it was supposed to start September 2017, so they're kind of sort of on schedule, but they really don't have the money. So they have had to do 3 things in the last 2 years, and I'll tell you about them. But let me get through this first, and then I'll tell you what happened, because they weren't allowed to, they weren't supposed to raise fares. But they raised fares indirectly, and I'll tell you how that happened. Okay, let me finish the statement. Tear up the streets from San Leandro through downtown Oakland only because the Berkeley City Council was clear-sighted enough to respond to their constituents' demands to reject the BRT proposal as proposed. They were going to take it downtown from International Boulevard, sweep up Telegraph, through Berkeley and go to the marina.
Berkeley said no, correct?
Yeah, they said no. So they canceled it, so they didn't get a land use permit. The business community in the Temescal area of Oakland, North Oakland, by 51st and Shattuck and Claremont, they said, you come through here, we will shoot you.
Okay.
And they did it on paper and nicely, with the lawyers and the pens and stuff like that. But they were dead serious.
And San Leandro also said no?
No, San Leandro said yes, and then they took the money, and then they also said, well, we got to have some parking here, some parking there, so you can't just tear up the streets like that. So AC Transit gave them a quasi-waiver. The only people that are getting torn up and cut up is East Oakland.
Yep.
East Oakland.
East Oakland from the border of San Leandro all the way through downtown.
And they're spraying and they're power washing houses, folks.
So at this point, going to the board, Alameda County doesn't matter because it's really happening in Oakland, correct?
Yeah, this is all Oakland.
Yeah.
This is all the city of Oakland. So any statutes in the city of Oakland, any policies that you need to have made, whatever needs to happen, it's got to come through Oakland, and pressure has to be put on various people who are up for re-election in November. Hello. Okay, the part that I wanted to emphasize for the youth are these things on page 2 that are bulleted. What the final environmental impact statement does not address is how much damage will be done not only to the quality of life in San Leandro and East Oakland, but also to those areas adjacent to all Alameda Contra Costa Transit Service areas.
That's right.
Okay, because these are, International Boulevard 1 and 1R were feeder buses
What is that?
to everything. You couldn't go anywhere without it.
So you could get
So you got the loss of over 1,000 spaces.
Yeah.
Economic losses to business owners and residential property owners who will be adversely affected by isolation and loss of access to stores. the increased risks of physical and safety and of the elderly, the disabled, the very young children and parents with infants and toddlers, rapid buses flying up and down the middle of the street and blocking access to local and fewer businesses, the loss of the existing aesthetic street decor and cultural celebrations, the loss of convenience of movement and around each community on foot and by local bus service, because local bus service is going to be destroyed.
Yeah.
Totally.
Right.
There is not going to be a one.
They've already eliminated like some service lines. At the same time, they brought up the fare.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you see, when they converted the 1 to the 6, they eliminated 1 entirely.
Yeah,
now
it
they're
don't
going to
exist.
recast 1 as a 1R only. And Berkeley's former mayor, Tom Bates, who's married to Lonnie Hancock, gerrymandered or did some kind of little dippity-do so that the 51 and 51B and A, which they split, will now be the new R for the continuation of this. Okay, because Berkeley wasn't going to give up that $12 million.
So I gotta stop you just because of time.
Okay, so the last 2 are down there. You can read them.
Yes, but I want to say that what'll happen is we'll do an interview with you for the research, okay?
Okay.
They're definitely, are you kidding? This is like, they're gonna be so excited. You brought this in.
So the footnotes give you the references, and you can pull them off the web. They're all on the web.
Okay.
And most of this, and let me tell you where BRT comes from real quick. When Rick Fernandez was the general manager of BART, the Van Hool thing, buying buses from Belgium with no bid, laundering money through the Metropolitan Transit Commission because they were buying out from under the Buy America federal law. They subverted that, and then it turns out that Rick Fernandez's brother was a vice president of Van Hool in Belgium. So,
there you go.
So they spent up a whole lot of money. The AC Transit Board did not have a travel policy. So all these people from AC Transit are flying to and from Europe. They're going to France, they're going to Spain, they're going to England. A couple of them went to Belgium just on GP. But they did not have a policy that said you must be going on AC Transit business. They used up almost $953 million of taxpayer money on travel, and they didn't demand reimbursement.
Wow.
So we took them to court in I took them to court and sued AC Transit so that they wouldn't raise fares. We did not win, but we didn't lose because the judge gave us a judgment of what was the word? Not allowed or dismissed without prejudice, which means that anytime AC Transit tried to raise fares again in the last 4 or 5 years, I could sue them again. Okay. What happened was they didn't raise fares. They split lines. They split the 90 and the 98. They split 50. Well, they had split 51 and 51B long before that because they wanted to make more money on that line and cause people to spend twice as much. It cost you $4 to go from Alameda to Berkeley Marina. But then they started splitting up other stuff. So then they split up 1 so that 1R, and they canceled 1R from Berkeley to downtown. They changed 6 so that it now stops at Oakland, and then you have to get off and get on the 1 to get down to East Oakland. So what I'm saying to you is that the way they raised fares without raising fares so that they couldn't be sued again, because the judge was really on our side, but he was hog-tied because there's a 90-day period where you have to stop them before they do whatever it is they said. They voted in December to raise fares in July of 2013. We didn't know that. We didn't know there was a 90-day exemption that you could get, and that if you didn't file your exemption before that 90-day period was over, then you couldn't overturn that particular vote. So what I've learned now is you have to go in and watch, because there's 60-day and there are 90-day and there are 30-day time periods which allow you to overturn
60, 30, and 90 across the board.
Any kind of
Legal, public stuff.
thing. And AC Transit's money comes from county taxes, state taxes, and federal taxes. There is not a dollar of public-private money in that organization. Everything has to go by the book. And this is why they're trying to squeeze out from under.
Okay, so we're gonna continue to talk. My question is, why not a question? We're going to go forward with this research release and this demand. And so I want to ask the community, the circle, should it be in front of the city of Oakland? All hands?
Or what's the alternative?
Or in front, right here on Black Arthur or 73rd, which of course media won't come to as much.
Right. I say Ogawa.
I say that too.
Ogawa? How many for Ogawa? Or Oscar Grant?
Oscar Grant Plaza.
All right, so we gonna do it at Oscar Grant. First, after we come back from the break, after all this break and all that, because we get a break. I said break 4 times. I wonder why. Maybe somebody needs a break.
Sorry about
yes. What? It's just another.
Well, I said Oscar Grant, and I was thinking, what about in front of the AC Transit?
Oh, I like
Where is
that.
1600 Franklin.
16.
Is that downtown? Is that downtown?
Yeah, it's around the
So
corner
look.
from Oscar Grant. It's 2 blocks from Oscar Grant.
So what do people
Franklin.
think in front of AC?
Will the press come? I mean, will the
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
televised there
Because
too?
it's downtown.
Okay, so that's okay.
So we.
I mean, that's our target, right?
Yeah.
Right, that is the target.
It's not 100 because the mayor is our target too.
Oh, so it's about strategy.
You vote for Oscar Grant because the mayor is our target, even though AC is our target, but not really.
No, there's a difference AC Transit is a county.
Yeah, I know.
AC Transit is a
I know.
county organization
But-
because it's Alameda County, Contra Costa County Metropolitan Transit
But
Authority.
one of the things we found out in our FOIAs is that the city of Oakland
Right,
is
you
actually
gotta
the
take it
biggest
up with
funder.
them.
Oh, I'm
And they're-
sure.
Right, but even deeper, they're completely lying about it. They told these children, let me just say, that's the whole beauty of these children doing these FOIAs. They lied to children and sent 14 FOIAs back saying we have no documents.
14 FOIAs.
Oh, Freedom of Information Act requests. They returned them to young people with flagrant lies, saying we have no such documents.
Oscar Grant Plaza.
I say Oscar Grant Plaza.
Yes.
Have we submitted?
No, we haven't. But we started. We did 2
Why don't we
resubmits.
start at
Yeah.
Oscar Grant Plaza and move over to 1600?
Yeah.
It's only 2 blocks. It's right
there
around
you
the corner.
go.
Right.
It's right around the corner. It'll take you 5 minutes to walk there.
Okay,
So
that's
we
how
got
we
2
do it.
locations. First week back or second week back, maybe, because we're gonna have another newsroom. And first, the newsroom. Okay, second week. The newsroom is not going to be the first Tuesday in January because it's right after New Year's, but it will be the second week in January.
The 9th.
And so, right, the 9th. So, Master From, if you're welcome to come back.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and we'd love to have you back. At that newsroom, we'll just reconvene, and it'll be after that. The other thing is, for those of you in the room with other connections and other communities, let's put it out. You know, there are a lot of folks who are not bought, right, and who are still off, off grid and off plantation. Shout out to them to come through, because this is truth media. This is liberation walking.
Yes.
And we're not trying to continue the perpetration. The other thing is, we're not going to do a big, a big celebration thing with it, but we are giving another redistribution check to Manna from Heaven. We want to make sure Manna from Heaven is not removed from Oakland. And so I think it's like 900 or something we're going to give to, yeah. It is not even a thank you. It's just the work that we're doing, right? And also that fund, we're making an ask over the Capitalismus and Kwanzaa and Solstice holidays. So we're making an ask that money goes to all of us, and so that's going to happen. We do urge that listeners and viewers come out to Mercado de Cambio. Latrice, who's a sister from Kiss My Black Arts, and who was one of the first folks, aside from Omawale, who peeped us to the BRT scam. She worked on the inside of this. Yeah, and she was the one who found out the big payolas that all these folks are getting. And she says, I have nothing to lose now because I live in Oakland and I won't be living here much longer if they get away with this. So she'll be on that panel along with Ayodele Wordslinger and some other cats. Yeah, Auntie Francis. So please come out Sunday, 3 o'clock. Also, Poor Magazine is in fact Poe. Bring your money and buy your holiday gifts and have a lot of fun. The youth will be presenting. There'll be a talent show, a martial arts demo from the beautiful teacher Jefferson and From's Martial Arts. Yeah! And can we give ourselves a round of applause? Oh, and a Revolutionary Children's Book panel with me and Leroy and shirts from Taz Foundation and all kinds of wonderful things. And Bilal and Lori and others will be your powerful MCs. So anyway, that said, we're going to close with a prayer, so we're going to cut it. To all listeners and viewers, all power to the people. Power to the people!
All power to the people!
Okay, so we're going to arm straight.